All right, truth seekers, buckle up. Or should I say, lace up? Or maybe kick off your shoes for a moment. Picture this. You're Jesus sending out your inner circle on a high-stakes road trip. Do you tell them to pack light like minimalist travelers or hand them a walking stick and say, "Here, lean on this and keep moving forward"? But here's the question. What if the instructions seem to shift along the way? Did Jesus truly direct his disciples to go barefoot and without a walking stick, stepping out in complete trust? Or was it more practical? Take your sandals and that shepherd's staff. Get going. You've probably noticed how the Bible's eyewitness accounts don't always align perfectly, like chapters in a well-edited book do. One gospel records no walking stick. Another says, take a walking stick. What's at play here? A real discrepancy or simply different perspectives on the same event, like family members recalling a shared story with their own details? And to be straightforward, if Jesus meant leave the sandals behind, imagine Peter arriving at Pentecost with feet as toughened as his Galilean resolve. Stay with me, because today we're examining one of those passages that invites real reflection. It challenges skeptics and encourages believers alike. Did Jesus tell his apostles to go barefoot and without a walking stick? As we'll see, the answer unfolds with more depth than a simple yes or no. Hey there, Bible buffs and late-night ponderers. Welcome back to the Bible Difficulties and Answers podcast. I'm your host, Lance Smith, your companion through the challenging corners of Scripture, with a cup of coffee in hand, a curious heart, and that familiar urge to, let's just read it again. This is our Tuesday Contradictions edition, episode 184. If you're joining us for the first time, you're in for a treat. We explore those verses that raise eyebrows and questions, emerging with understanding, a bit of encouragement, and perhaps something solid to share in your next conversation or study. Let's set the scene. Jesus is preparing his closest followers, the 12, for their initial mission of outreach. It's a defining moment, like the launch of a vital venture. Go proclaim the kingdom of God, heal the sick, drive out demons, and here's what you'll need or won't need for the journey. These instructions appear in parallel form across Matthew 10, Mark 6, and Luke 9, with an additional account in Luke 10 involving the 72. On the surface, the details don't match up seamlessly. One account emphasizes no shoes, no walking stick, rely fully on what's provided. Another allows sandals and a walking stick, but nothing more. Is this a true conflict or the natural variety of inspired witnesses sharing the essence of the same charge? For clarity today, we'll draw from the New Living Translation. It's straightforward and approachable, much like Jesus speaking directly to friends over a simple meal. I'll share the key verses, point out the tensions, and then bring in insights from trusted scholars to help us see the bigger picture. This isn't about forcing a pat answer. It's about appreciating the harmony beneath the differences, like distinct instruments playing in unison. We begin with Matthew 10, verses 9 to 10. Don't take any money in your money belts, no gold, silver, or even copper coins. Don't carry a traveler's bag with a change of clothes and sandals or even a walking stick. Okay, straightforward and severe. No funds, no provisions, no extras. It's a call to utter dependence, leaving everything behind except the message and the faith to carry it. Then, in Mark 6, 8 to 9, we hear a slightly different emphasis, where he writes this: take nothing for the journey except a walking stick. No food, no traveler's bag, no money. He allowed them to wear sandals, but not to take a change of clothes. Okay, here a walking stick is permitted, and sandals are mentioned as part of the basics. It feels more grounded, acknowledging the realities of travel without compromising the core idea of simplicity. Luke 9, 3 offers a concise version. Take nothing for your journey. Don't take a walking stick, a traveler's bag, food, money, or even a change of clothes. Okay, the walking stick is off limits. Extras are ruled out, but sandals go unmentioned. It's as if Luke is focusing on the heart of the instruction. Move forward unburdened. And in Luke 10:4, for the sending of the 72, a related but distinct mission, we read this: Don't take any money with you, nor a traveler's bag, nor an extra pair of sandals, and don't stop to greet anyone on the road. The focus sharpens on no additional sandals and a sense of urgency. No delays, no detours. If I stepped out like that today, without a wallet, without a phone, without even basic supplies, I'd likely turn back before the first mile, finding myself at home reflecting on it all with whatever's at hand. It reminds me of those times in my traveling days between stores, relying on what was already in the car to get me through. Those moments build something real, don't they? So where do these differences leave us? It's a noticeable tension. Matthew and Luke explicitly prohibit a walking stick. Mark allows one. Matthew excludes sandals entirely. Mark includes them. Luke is silent in chapter 9, but specifies no extra pair in chapter 10. Then, looking ahead to Luke 22:35, Jesus reflects on the mission. What if I sent you out and you did not have money, a traveler's bag, or an extra pair of sandals? Did you need anything? No, they reply. This aligns closely with Matthew's stricter tone. Were they truly traveling without footwear, or is there more to this picture? It's a sort of detail that prompts us to dig deeper, setting aside quick judgments. This is where thoughtful examination comes alive, like revisiting a familiar path and noticing new markers along the way. Biblical scholars approach these variations not as flaws, but as complementary perspectives that enrich the whole. The underlying theme remains consistent. Travel with minimal means, depending on God's provision through those that you meet. The original Greek words reveal subtle distinctions that resolve the surface level differences, shifting from absolute prohibition to no additional acquisitions. Let's look closer with a simple framework, almost like a traveler's checklist. Dave Miller, in his article, Take It or Leave It from Apologetics Press, highlights the key. In Matthew, the verb ktaomai carries the sense of acquire or procure. It's not a blanket ban on carrying items, but a directive against obtaining new ones. Do not acquire nor staffs. Miller explains, underscoring the call to go as you are. Don't pause to gather more. It's about urgency and trust, not deprivation. Now, Mark uses airo, meaning to pick up or to carry. This permits taking along what's already at hand. No need to fetch a new walking stick, but if one is there from daily life, it's fine to use. Stacia McKeever captures this well in her Answers in Genesis piece, A Staff or Not, where she writes this: Jesus wanted the disciples to take what they already had, but not to acquire another. Okay, it echoes that practical wisdom we all know, like finishing what's on your plate before reaching for more. Or, in my case, making do with that half-eaten protein bar in the glove box during the long drive between stops. It gets you to the next place, reminding you who's really guiding the route. Now, here's a quick way to frame it, like notes on a travel journal. First, walking stick. Matthew and Luke emphasize no new procurement. Don't seek out or buy one. Mark allows carrying what you already possess, like a familiar tool from your work. The takeaway: rely on what God had already placed in your hands. He's the true provider of every tool. And second is sandals. Matthew stresses no spares, underscoring full dependence. Mark and Luke 10 affirm wearing what's on your feet, without the burden of extras. The point? Proceed with the essentials. No need for a wardrobe of backups. My good friends from the team at the Veritas Domain blog reinforces this in their 2025 analysis. To be accurate, none of the passages actually record Jesus telling his apostles to be barefoot. Okay, they break down Luke 10's bestadzo as to carry with effort, like bearing an unnecessary load. As they put it directly, Jesus is saying not to have an extra sandal, since the sandal worn is not being carried or requiring exertion. Okay, it clarifies the intent. Freedom from excess, not from functionality. Even Greek expert Bill Mounce, in his blog post on this very tension, acknowledges it as one of the more challenging gospel comparisons, but far from irreconcilable. Matthew says, don't acquire, he notes. Mark says, carry what you've got. Luke aligns in principle. He sees the language around an extra staff as an emphatic rhetoric, driving home the message, trust God, not your supplies. It's reminiscent of Psalm 23, Jesus holding the rod and staff himself, inviting us to simply follow the path. To round this out fairly, let's consider the perspective from those who see a genuine conflict here. It's important. Healthy dialogue keeps us grounded, and differing views sharpen our own. Joseph Francis Alward, in Should Disciples Carry a Staff, raises a pointed question. If the no extras explanation holds for the staff, doesn't it lead to an awkward allowance of just one sandal per foot? He views Matthew's account as portraying a more austere Jesus, barefoot in prophetic solidarity, staffless to symbolize total surrender. The Skeptics Annotated Bible frames it similarly as a direct contradiction. They write, in Matthew's Gospel, Jesus tells his disciples to go barefoot, but the Jesus in Mark's Gospel tells them to wear sandals. It's a valid challenge, one that asks us to weigh whether these are evolving traditions or faithful recollections. That said, context provides the steady ground. This commission was for a limited mission, familiar territory in Galilee and Judea, where the disciples would encounter people who knew them and could offer support, a place to rest, food to share, perhaps even care for weary feet. No need for a full kit when hospitality was the plan. And as the mission scope widened later, Jesus adapted the guidance in Luke 22:36 with this. Now, take your money bag and a traveler's bag, and if you don't have a sword, sell your cloak and buy one. Okay, it's a natural progression from local trust to broader preparedness, like moving from a neighborhood walk to a cross-country journey. Consider these parallels in our own lives. The Boy Scouts prepare with packs full of gear for security. Survival experts thrive by adapting to what's available. Jesus calls for something in between. Adapt with faith, knowing the ultimate guide has everything covered. Or think of a modern parallel. Imagine Elon Musk sending Tesla teams to a demonstration event. It's not, no spare batteries, rely on goodwill and determination. In reality, Elon's approach is the opposite. He'd equip them thoroughly, transforming risks into breakthroughs with foresight and innovation. That's the contrast. The disciples stepped out with far less and found they lacked nothing, underscoring a provision that runs deeper than any plan we could devise. It's not about abandoning wisdom, it's about reordering our reliance. In the end, friends, Jesus wasn't prescribing a rigid rule for going entirely barefoot and staffless. The consistent thread is clear. Don't delay gathering more. Step out now with what you have, placing your trust in the one who sends you. Matthew highlights the depth of that dependence like a deliberate leap of faith. Mark adds a note of practicality for the road ahead. Luke builds in the momentum of the moment. Together they form a unified witness, not a patchwork, but a portrait, like family members recounting a pivotal day, each voice adding texture to the truth. If you're preparing for a discussion, a study, or even a personal crossroads, remember this. If it's about complementary instructions, Matthew's call to acquire nothing new, Mark's permission to carry what's current, use what God provides, move forward unhindered. And this brings us to the heart of it all, doesn't it? These ancient instructions aren't distant artifacts. They're reflections for our own past today. Perhaps you felt the weight of over-preparation in your life, like career strategies stacked like luggage, the worries carried like extra loads, the what-ifs piling up like unneeded supplies. The next step in your work, that difficult conversation on the horizon, it can feel like navigating rough terrain without the right gear. Yet, Jesus' words linger as an invitation. Lighten your load. Anchor your trust. The goal wasn't discomfort for its own sake. It was freedom to experience provision in the moment, to discover that grace meets you at every turn, becoming the support you need most. In our fast-paced world, where we're urged to stockpile security and scroll for every solution, this story offers a quiet counterpoint. God is the ultimate host, transforming encounters into abundance, turning potential lacks into lasting lessons. When we lean into these tensions, questioning thoughtfully, exploring the layers, our faith doesn't just endure, it deepens. It becomes resilient, ready for whatever road lies ahead. So, when the next challenging verse crosses your path, don't turn away. Engage it fully. Ask the questions that matter. Pursue the clarity that builds. You'll find not just answers, but a stronger hold on the truth that sustains. What if this moment of commissioning is God's gentle reminder for us right now? Depend on me. I've traversed far rougher ground, shouldered greater burdens. May it free you to walk lightly, equipped in the ways that count, with a heart open to the journey, eyes fixed on the horizon, he said. If today's exploration brought fresh insight or simply a moment of pause, join us anytime at BibleDifficultiesAndAnswers.podbean.com. You'll find all our episodes on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, YouTube, Podbean, or your favorite listening app. Like, subscribe, and share if it resonates. It's how we keep these conversations reaching more seekers like you. Connect on Facebook too. Share your thoughts in the comments. What contradictions should we tackle next? Your idea could shape episode 186. Or drop a line to BibleDifficultiesAndAnswers@gmail.com. We value every voice and we read them all. Who knows, it might light the way for what's ahead. This is Lance Smith signing off. Until next time, wishing you good luck, good health, and God bless. So long, everybody.